Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News, with our third out of 4 videos today. We have 4 videos, a podcast, so much to get into. If you don't want the conversation regarding the Clayton paternity scandal, why'd you click on this video? This is for the people that enjoy following the day-to-day moments of what the heck is going on. As you guys know, Clayton is in this court battle with a lady who accuses him of being the father of her unborn twins. Now, Reality Steve and I have been the primary people talking about this, whereas others have essentially cowered to the threats of lawsuits for defamation. Reality Steve describes the maniacal behavior that he believes he's dealing with from the from the emails he's getting from Jane Doe. We're going to pick up with the story right now. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals, patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind-the-scenes bonus content. I've been talking about the new home buying process and all the other things I've got going on. If you want to see where we're moving to and see all that information, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast. So if you're like one of these commenters that says, Dave, why do you keep talking about this? Well, on today's podcast, we have Snoop Dogg giving up weed. We've got the Will Smith gay love story rumor that's going on. Cardi B responds. All of the entertainment news. Trust me, it's all in one place. We've got it all for you right there on Bachelor Rush Hour. It's up. It's live. So now we're going to jump into this. I made this story yesterday. Jane Doe threatens lawsuits to podcasters who cover story. She said, my intent is to sue for defamation if people don't believe her side, if people share my side, my opinions. And again, everyone's entitled for their own opinions, right? Either way, that's what she said. Here's what Reality Steve has to say. I'm going to play this full clip for you right now. And again, you know, it's good to know who's on your side when you have issues like this, because, you know, we're over here just trying to raise the money we need to spend for the lawyer to take, to go to court because of this, litigious issue we have here, being sued for harassment. Whether it's it's a lawsuit, right? Does that mean I'm being sued? Whether it's an injunction of harassment, right? So anyway, we're at $9,500 trying to get to $12,000. I have a $10,000 retainer. More on that in a moment. Here's what Steve had to say.
What we're dealing with here, what Dave is dealing with, what I'm dealing with. I told you yesterday in the podcast, she had not contacted me in 10 days since I told her to leave me alone and said, I just don't want to hear from you anymore. Don't email me. Well, she emailed me. I mean, nothing's going to stop her. She can't email Clayton anymore. So, and Dave's told her to leave him alone. I guess I'm the one that she's going to annoy now. I don't know. I told her, but, let me just, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to read the whole email, but tell you basically what she wrote me and then what my response was. It was basically, her email was essentially saying that she was complaining about Dave and complaining about one part of my tweet from when I was transcribing the hearing from November 2nd on my Twitter account yesterday. She wanted me to she wanted me to put out the full answer. And I just, again, this is just, we're talking about semantics here. And there's just a lot of things that are just never proven. So what I wanted to say, though, was this. If you look at Neal's video yesterday, she sent out like a mass email to a bunch of podcasters, basically coming down on Dave and I. And Dave did a whole video on it. He read the whole email on his YouTube page. Go check it out at Dave Neal. You can watch it and you can see kind of what we're dealing with here. And we get to a point where even in that email, I'll just read you one line from it. And this is the one that really is frustrating, because this is the type of just
bullying,
maniacal behavior that we're dealing with.
Careful.
This is the last 3 or 4 sentences of her email.
Careful, Steve.
She sent out to a bunch of podcasters, because a podcaster that got this email, she was blind CC'd on, or they were blind CC'd on, and they forwarded it on to Dave. So they said, hey, Dave, I got this from the woman who's after you, and I was blind CC'd on it, so that means she's probably sending it to a bunch of podcasters. And it was basically going after Dave. But this is how she ended the email. My mental health has been destroyed by Dave and Reality Steve since they have ignored the truth. If I am not offered that opportunity and you decide to cover the story with just Dave's point of view, my intent is to sue for defamation. I would be extremely appreciative if you would not cover the topic at all, and that if you do, you allow me to give my side of the story.
Thank you.
This is the email. She didn't send it to me. She didn't send it to Dave. She sent it to seemingly a group of podcasters because some
and the belief is this. This is the way to like sort of control the narrative. Which, by the way, you should do a PR. I should be in PR class at different colleges talking about this. Dave wants to profit off of becoming a professor. No. But honestly, this is fascinating, right? Because by privately messaging different people with threats of defamation, everyone goes, "I don't want to cover this. No one wants to cover this. Let's just wait and see how it all plays out." And that's how she kind of gets exposed. Now, maybe she didn't realize. I don't know if she understands how friend groups work. But Steve and myself are both highly, I believe, liked in the Bachelor community. We platform other people. Steve's head honcho, right? Head honcho. Oh, holy Steve, bestow upon us your blessing so we can, you know what I mean? But Steve's the main guy. He's the main guy. He's been the guy who has done this the longest. Believe it or not, he's got a ton of respect in the community. You wouldn't believe that if you went on Reddit, but you wouldn't believe that I got the respect either if you went on Reddit, right? They don't like anybody. It's like, even if Santa Claus was on Reddit, they'd be like, "Oh, why you got to be using these elves to make all of your toys?" You know, they just hate everything. But either way, here it is. And you can just see how you can silence people through this like coercive, behind the scenes. But what she didn't realize is these emails make their way back to us.
Buddy that got this in the podcast world was BCC'd on it and sent it to Dave. So she's basically laying it out there to tell any other podcaster, do not cover this story, and unless you do, you only can cover my side of the story, which is kind of ironic because her whole thing is you guys are siding with Clayton. You're not sharing my side of the story. So my response to her yesterday was, let's do this. Woo! You are all about your truth. Fine. But the only way I'm speaking to her is if I get to call her, or we have a phone conversation, or she does the podcast. She wants her story out there, I'll give it to her.
By the way, imagine some weird, twisted world where they do an interview and then just like Jason Tartick and Caitlin Bristow did an interview and then got engaged. What if Reality Steve and Jane Doe find love? This could be great. They could ride their horses to Olive Garden. I mean, this could be it, folks.
I know you think I'm crazy. I'm not. She says the whole reason that she doesn't like me and Dave is because she says we don't listen to her story. Okay?
You cut the crap.
I'm giving you exactly what you want.
And by the way, of course, her side of the story was the one first reported. We've read and shared every Medium article, every Reddit post she's made. We've shared more bandwidth from her than from any past people, right? We've gotten the most out of her. Now it's just the cross-examination.
You want to present your side of the story. That's fine. You don't have a platform right now. You have a podcast, yet you've never brought this up once on your podcast. So, want to do it on mine? You say I'm not sharing your truth, which is, like I said, that's clearly backwards as well. It's like, if you don't spread my truth, then that means you're not interested in the truth. It's just like, it doesn't work that way when you report stories.
Yeah, whenever we say my truth means opinion, right? I'm just speaking my truth. As a Libra, I want you to, it's like, no, truth is like scientific fact. The earth rotates around the sun. We know that, right? The presidential elections were not rigged. We know that, right? Okay, now we're getting into opinions, right? But either way, just speaking my truth.
Sorry. But if she doesn't think I'm giving her side of the story, by all means, I'll give it. Either you do the podcast interview with me, or we have a conversation and I just relay everything that you told.
You won't do it. Do it.
You want your truth out there. Fine, I'll give it. I will take everything you say, relay it to everybody, and let them decide about your truth.
Holy crap,
let's do that.
Asshole.
Let's see how that goes. Because that's what you want, right? Your truth. Fine. I don't know if she's going to take me up on it. She never responded when I messaged back yesterday. And I know a lot of you are also saying, like, why are you giving her the time of day? Why don't you let this story go? No, I'm sorry. This is a very important story. This is a First Amendment story. We have the right, Dave, myself, anybody else that wants to cover this story, we have a right to cover this story. We have a right to give an opinion on a public court case. This is no different than me turning on CNN for a trial of whoever and just doing a podcast every day and said, hey, yesterday I watched the trial of so-and-so versus so-and-so. Here are my thoughts. This is no different, except theirs isn't on TV, but it is public record, so I'm allowed to have opinions on it. She's trying to shut down my ability and Dave's ability to cover a story. But because we're not covering it and saying that she's in the right and everything that she tells us is the truth, then we're the enemies. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. So I will let her do what she wants to do. Will she take me up on the offer? I have no idea. But the offer's out there. All she does is complain that we're not interested in the truth because we believe Clayton. Fine. Let's get your truth. And let everyone else decide. Once you tell us, and once you answer every question that I have for you, then we'll put your answers out there and let everyone decide for themselves. Let's do that. That's going to work great. So, just wanted to put that out there. Not to mention, this is a story that is public record, and yet Dave and I, for 2 months, we could have said her name from the very beginning, and we've protected her name. Now, is it hard to find? No, not at all. It's the reason she's filing a TRO against Dave, and because people are harassing her. Everyone's found her. It's not that hard. But we've still, through all this, even knowing that it's a public court case, we still have never mentioned her name once. And I'm not going to. If you want to know, you'll know. I don't need to bring it up. And I've also said on numerous occasions, and I'll say it again now, don't contact her. Don't email her. Don't leave a message in her DMs. Do not contact any of her family members. Do not harass this woman. Do not say anything to her. The best thing you can do is ignore her because she wants the attention from this. Ignore her. Talk about it. If you obviously you have opinions just like Dave and I do about this case and all the things that we just scratch our head at. Dave and I just happen to have a platform where we talk about it publicly. You can.
Okay, so you get the point, folks, right? Steve does a great job. If you saw what I was working on there, I was just pulling up the temporary restraining order it's a protective order, temporary order of protection against me, which was denied. And you might go, Dave, whose opinion is it that this is a First Amendment right order? How about it's the opinion of judges that overlooked this in Los Angeles? This is from the judge. This is why the order is denied. The allegations, and by the way, I'm still going to court for an injunction against harassment. The temporary restraining order was denied. The allegations from Jane Doe in the petition are conclusory, not specific as to date, time, message, and potentially involve core First Amendment concerns. Restricting potentially protected speech without a hearing could constitute a prior restraint. A hearing will be necessary to ascertain if the communications are not protected, amount to harassment, cyberstalking, revenge porn, defamation, etc. And this, of course, was signed off by a judge in the Los Angeles Superior Court. I am being taken to court, and for those that don't think this is a big deal, you don't understand. You don't understand what you're working against here, because you can't set a precedent that if someone's upset with someone else's opinion, you can send them to court, rack up bills, this and that. Reality, Steve understands that because he makes his living sharing his opinion, and I do for the same reasons. The GoFundMe is available, and it was started by a very generous member of our community, and quickly it has raised $9,500. I'm on the hook with my lawyer for $10,000, although I'm expecting it to cost closer to $14,000 or $15,000, which will be money out of my pocket, but we will continue to exercise our First Amendment rights and talk about this. You can continue to enjoy the content and the commentary as you see fit. If you don't want to donate to the GoFundMe, but do want to donate to the Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Dave Neal and be a part of our membership-only community, or you can just keep watching for free. That's always welcomed. We appreciate your support, and thank you again to Reality Steve for being one of the few that are putting their neck out there to fight the good fight, and I appreciate that. It won't be forgotten. Follow me over there, and we'll be back with Bachelor Rush Hour right after this.